All right, so we are recording. We are ready to roll. Good morning, everyone. Glad that you were able to join me this morning. Everyone had a great spring break. And it is 9:01, so we're going to go ahead and get rolling. I know people will be trickling in, but we're here. So just wanted to remind you of our mission statement and for special populations, really looking at how can we increase awareness, promote equitable access, and then improve outcome for all special populations, specifically our gifted and talented. But then, as you know, our gifted and talented children also fall into other POPs. And so looking at how do we affect our English learner support, our highly mobile, which includes our military, our foster children, our homeless, our migrant. So when we look at our students, how do we make sure that all of their needs are being met in all of these areas and these realms where they are, and make sure that they're getting it. So today we're just going to talk a little bit about programs and GT services, and then throw out it for some question and answers, and then share any of you would like to share or tell about what's happening in your district or what's going on in your world or your ESC. And I want to say, Paulina, are you with us? I know she was double booked and she wanted to join us early. We'll come back to her when she gets here. I did not see.
Sorry, I'm on. I got stuck in that recording in progress loop. Good morning, everyone. How are you? You want me to jump in, Monica?
Go ahead. You got the floor.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you always making time. I'm Paulina Van Eden Hill. If we haven't met, I'm the executive director of the Texas Association for the Gifted and Talented, your membership organization for your professional learning and community. I got to see so many of you last week. It feels like it was about a month ago, but it was last week at Leadership Conference in Georgetown, and we sure enjoyed being with 200 of you. If you weren't able to join, we missed you. And if we haven't met before, please DM me or email me at paulina@txgifted.org. I'd love to officially meet you and introduce the Texas Association for the Gifted and Talented to you. It's a big week here at TAGT and in your communities as well. It's GT Awareness Week. Woo! We're really excited. We're shifting things up a little bit this year. In the past, we have sent, posted probably 30 social media posts a day, and that's kind of been the extent of Awareness Week, which has been awesome because you guys comment on them and we have great conversations. But we wanted to switch it up this year. So we've got a couple of new things happening. We've got some social media takeovers. So we do have an Instagram account. If you didn't know, if you spend more time on Instagram than Facebook, make sure that you're following us at TX Gifted. We've got some takeovers today and tomorrow and Thursday. We're really excited because we've got some educators that are taking over. And then we've got tomorrow, we've got Andy McNair and Brian Housen, and I'm hearing there may be a special announcement happening tomorrow. So make sure that you're following that. Tonight, we have our parent webinar on navigating an uncertain future through purpose. And if you joined us at TAGT's leadership conference last week, Tim Klein is presenting that webinar for parents. He was one of our keynote speakers last week. He's awesome. And it's being interpreted in Spanish live, and we're also recording it. We've been doing parent webinars now for 3 or 4 years, and each time we have one, we also include a facilitator's guide so that you can at the same time or afterwards you can share the recording and have a parent meeting. Now, that probably hasn't happened in the last 2 years, or maybe you're doing that online, but if you are gathering parents now at campuses or at a district event, that's a tool for you to be able to show that recording and then have a conversation about it afterwards. So visit txgifted.org/webinar. I think I'll put the link in the chat in a minute. But again, that is being interpreted into Spanish live. And then Thursday, we're having a Connect chat on managing staff turnover. So that was a big theme and a big issue that you all are dealing with. It was a big theme at Leadership Conference, and this is an open conversation for you all to share both your challenges and things that you have experimented with to kind of help build a strong staff team so that they stick around. And that's being led by our Leadership Resource Committee, and it's on the 7th, I think at 4. So all of that's on our website, on our calendar. We're starting to really use our calendar for all of the kind of small webinars and stuff that we have. So make sure that you've got txgifted.org bookmarked. And then generally our awareness committee, which is new this year, put together, we're calling them one-pagers, but they're really tips to celebrate GT Awareness Week in your district. There's one for principals. There's one for teachers that includes some discussion ideas or reflection to actually bring GT Awareness Week into the classroom. So that's really cool. And then there's one for parents. So if you have a newsletter going out this week, you can send them the parent webinar and the kind of celebration tips for GT Awareness Week. That would be awesome. You can find all that at txgifted.org/all one word GT Awareness Week, or just go to our website and under, I think, community or about, it's there. And we also have the Gifted Plus Equity Conference, which is our equity conference, and it's going to be in Denton June 5th through the 7th. And the call for proposals is open and the deadline was extended. We're looking for sessions that are really focused on equity, not just in identification, but also in services and retention, looking to talk about students who are from all different kind of plus backgrounds. So whether that's underrepresented students or twice exceptional students, students that are have a military background or part of a military family. So we're really looking for sessions to happen there. And again, it's in Denton in June. And registration's open. So if you've got some extra PD money and you're looking for some places to take your specialists or your classroom teachers, or if you've been working on a relationship with your, SPED director or your EL lead and your district, invite them to come with you, because the whole goal of that conference is that intersectionality. And so that's a really fun way to build those relationships. Also, I know we're getting towards the end of the school year and our minds kind of start to get real focused on things that are not professional learning and GAGT, which totally makes sense. So I wanted to make sure we started talking about our new coordinator boot camp. So this is a boot camp we launched. This will be our 3rd year that we've done it. It's a kind of a, let's say 9 to 3 online boot camp with lots of breaks and opportunities for you to catch up on emails and stuff. But that's meant for folks who have been handed the GT hat in addition to kind of everything else that you're doing in the last year. So lots of basic stuff, lots of like, here's where you go to find the thing, but we've gotten really rave reviews on it the last couple of years. It's the programming is led by our emerging leaders, which I'll talk about in a minute. So folks who are kind of only 2, 3, 4 years into their leadership of a GT program, they're the ones that are creating kind of the curriculum for the new coordinator boot camp. So it's really relevant and hits on all of the things that you kind of need to know right away. So that's August 1st. Registration is open for that as well. Again, it's online, just one day, and we typically record it and allow people to go back and watch the different sessions. So check out the website again for that, and we'll have an updated schedule up in the next couple of weeks, but wanted to make sure that if you're new to your position and you're still like, I just need like a little bit more one-on-one time, it's a nice group to be part of. And then finally, our Emerging Leaders Program is our program for coordinators or specialists who are in the 3 or less years in their position. And it's a year-long program that offers monthly webinars that are kind of tailored to the group's needs. So if everybody in the group is focused on, culturally relevant services, or then we'll have a session on that. So it's really like you all will talk about what your needs are. You put a work group, plan together. So you'll have a goal, something you're already working on. And then Marcy, who facilitates that, and your mentor, who is selected specifically for you, will help you achieve those things throughout the year. So the registration for that is also open, or the application for that is also open. It is an application process. We do ask that you have a letter of support from your supervisor. And the applications are open until April 22nd. There is a fee for that program as well, but it includes registration to Gift Ed, Leadership Conference, and Gifted Plus Equity. So kind of all wrapped up into one. And then, of course, those monthly sessions in the mentorship. I feel like I'm out of breath. I wanted to make sure you all get all of those updates, but I'm happy to answer any questions, and I will stick on to do that, and also put all those links in the chat in case you weren't able to keep up. But thank you for all the work that you're doing. And I know this is getting into a tough time of the year. So keep your heads up. Summer's almost here. It's going to fly by, and let us know if we can do anything to support you.
Thank you, Paulina. Great information there. And so if this is our typical wellness check, how is everyone doing out there? I know it is that season where anything and everything can happen in your districts, in your homes. I know that, weather changes always affect, different things are going forward. So hopefully everyone is doing well. Hopefully everyone had a great spring break, had a good time. You left that bag in the car, you didn't take it with you, or better yet, you left it at the office so it didn't weigh down your vehicle. So hopefully everyone is doing good and doing well. All right. So I always like to remind, thinking about our state definition and then how we're going forth and how we're defining our programs. So just know that we are always looking for those students who performs at or shows the potential based on compared to other students who of the same age, experience, or environment. So just remember that as you think about, we're not meeting a national goal or a state goal. This is locally determined how you identify your students. And so that also goes into some of the other things that when you talk about your transfer policy, when you go into those other things and defining your programs, why it's so specialized specifically to your projects and to your services. So as we look at that, then if we think about how do we meet that goal? How do we go to that next level? And then what are we expecting our students to do to show that they have self-directed learning, that they have been doing their own, thinking, their research projects? What are those innovative products and performances that we're looking for them to do? And then how are our high school students putting those projects to play? And then what does that professional product look like? What are those professional performances as a part of their program services? So really thinking that continuum of your program services K-12 as we look at it and going into that and really building into what do you want your students to walk away from your ISD at the end of the day. Just a friendly reminder on our GT Tuesdays, if there are any other topics that you would like to talk about. I think we kind of hit almost all of them, got a few more to hit as we go into the rest of the year, but really looking at that. But today, really want to kind of talk about student services. I know last week at Gifted Leadership, I kind of hit on a few things and moved kind of fast for some of it so that we can get into our finance conversation. But as you know, we're looking at student services today and really looking at what are those processes and what are we looking at for those pieces. So when you think about what are your array of learning opportunities, and once again, that K-12, and what are those things happening? So really thinking about how are your students working together? How are they working independently? What is your continuum of learning services? What do a third grader compared to a fifth grader to compared to a seventh, a 10th grader, what are their projects looking like? What are their performances? What is that work level that you're looking for in those programs? what is defined at middle school as a part of your GT services, and what is defined in high school as part of your services. And then when you think about your out of school options, and those are some of the other things we'll be talking about, and really trying to build a reservoir of what are those options out there? What are those things that kids can do and get involved in? And then really thinking about when we talk about opportunities to accelerate in areas of strength, what does that look like in your district? What, is it defined, or are you just using Chapter 74 guidelines of grade level acceleration, when we really should be looking at acceleration can really look different ways and different processes as we go into how we look at how we're moving students forward. So really thinking about, we went into very much with HB3 and defining our programs and with our manuals, really looking at what are our district level codes and what are those codes. And as you know, we did very minimum with 5 codes, and actually it's 6, because code 0 is really you have no program. And so really looking at how do you define that, and then what are you looking for, and then so most of us pull out, we got our push-ins, we got our full-time gifted, our full-time inclusion in our special day schools. So it kind of leads to the question of, are you coding all of the programs that you have in your district? And as you know, we start gathering this data, so we're in our second year of data. So really want to show you the first year, because as you know, this is what we look like with our districts. So, we had 116 programs out there. Now you with no program. And part of that 116 is about 60 was really truly independent school districts. The other were charter schools. And, charter schools have that opportunity to define, to add it to their charter or to amend their charter to add GT. It's not a requirement. But as you can see here in the state, most of you have pull out when we went into this. Then we rolled into COVID world and going into that and really looking at, how will our numbers change? Because that was the main thing we were all thinking. So a lot of you are doing pull out programs. We got very few special day schools. And I think that, that number might be very low in my opinion, because I think some of you do have special day schools that you might not be counting. Got full-time inclusion, and I expect some of these numbers will either fluctuate or go up. And then our full-time gifted programs, got about 81 school districts out there. Now, also remember, when we looked at these codes, you can pick multiple. So this is going to look very different, across each district. So our numbers did go up on pretty much everything when you look at them. So, but we got a few more who said, yes, they got a program. So we got a little less. We went down on the no programs, but we went up on others. And I was really, it really kind of shocked me also that we got more who said they have pull out programs compared to, because I was just really thinking our full-time inclusion was going to expand with everyone trying to get GT services in the classroom where they don't have to, where they can use those teachers elsewhere. So, but these are our numbers, and this is how we're looking so far. And really looking at that push in our full-time programs, and we've got one more day school. So any thoughts, wonderings before I go into some of my questions on our numbers and what we're looking at, and looking at the programs and how you're defining your programs? Are you talking with your district level person who does your data reporting in PEIMS on these are all of our programs? Or has it been a fight to say, yeah, you can do more than one identification? Or are you looking at all those programs that sometimes that are there that may, I know some of you got magnet programs that are not maybe under your preview, but do still specialize in your student service population. So any thoughts, wonderings, additional questions since you've seen the data or thinking about the data? I see nothing in the chat. No questions out. All right. So I want to have a couple of questions, just some wonderings, and anyone feel free to jump off into this kind of, so how is your LEA serving students? And then, what are your program options? Remember, this helps the community. We got 93 other people out there listening who wants to know what's some options out there, some wonderings. Especially, I know questions have been on at secondary. Anyone? All right. Drop it in the chat. Anybody want to jump on? Okay, so we got inclusion as we cluster our GT students. To see the program goes by grade level. Okay, so that's going to be a difficult one. At this time, we only ask for the data by district level. That is the only coding we have by district level. Now, you as a district may code by grade level. So that might be something to ask if you're coding by, because just school districts have that option. Pull out rotation per grade. Secondary, so what are some of those secondaries? So K2, you got push in, K3, pull out support, all right. The massive growth with not enough people, anyone else, the massive growth of our student populations. All right, we got doing inclusion with clustering, a dedicated middle school, and then cluster in K5, and we're doing pre-AP, AP. So moving to full-time inclusion with push-in services, inclusion for K2, pull out 3-5, secondary is going back into the inclusion and advanced courses. Challenging of growth. All right, we got all our students' growth going. We have a pull-out program at the elementary and clustered at one period at the secondary. All right, secondary level clustered in one period. Okay, is that Loretta? Is that subject area clustered or an elective? Just wondering. Self-contained accelerated services, Holly. All right. Pull out during intervention and enrichment plus students are clustered and push in elementary. Clustering throughout. How often do your pullouts happen? Sheltered GT, chemistry, algebra 2, pre-cal, English 2. All right. Elective. All right. So they're getting credit for that. Loretta, drop it in chat or join us on call. K through 6 for data pullouts. All right. So my other question. So have you piloted or adapted your program services, especially now that we're really looking at, really looking at some of our virtual, following some of our other, we got the teacher shortage going on. So what's happening? How are you adapting your programs? All right, got your teachers back at the elementary level. All right, Blake, thanks for that. That is good news. That is good news to get our teachers back into the program and services. So as you know, this is our time to kind of talk about it. Any other advice, any other wonderings, how we're looking at this, how we're working on getting, and then so Bridget's asking the question, how are you all handling that 33% or those cluster grouping, how you're doing that? Anybody want to join us to talk, to share how they're doing it? Love it, Blake, with great difficulty. You want to expound on any of that, Blake?
It's really hard to get them clustered in secondary, yes. But what you have to do is you have to have them close out a few sections. So if, let's say, world history is offered 6 periods of the day, you want to close out a few of those sections so that those kids filter into the AP world history classes that gives you a group of 6 or so in that room.
All right. Thank you, Holly. Go ahead, Blake.
Well, our difficulty mostly stemmed from adopting Ascender right at the beginning of the year and some hiccups along the way there, but we made it happen.
Anyone else want to share? All right, so Debbie is asking about the 33 cluster grouping. So Debbie, was it last year? Oh, my years are floating together. Last year or the year before, we updated, the CAC updated the guidance on cluster grouping. And if you will go to the TA website on our guidance for interpreting the state plan, you will see we changed from, if you remember from years prior, we did have a recommended group of 3 or more. We did change that to 4. Yes, we changed that to 4. And then we recommended a 33%. So when you're looking at cluster grouping, and I want to say thank you, Amber, because I know you dropped that in the chat. And then slide page 15, I love it. Thank you for dropping that in there. So that's where we've updated that kind of guidance on when we're looking at our students. Thanks, Blake, for dropping that. I appreciate y'all supporting each other and helping with with this expanding. So yeah, we are really looking at pulling in information and supporting what you're doing. So that's where that came from a couple of years ago, and up doing that. It is a recommendation, yes, because we know it's all, when you really think about how you define your program, you need to think about what works best with you, and knowing that you're always going to have a challenge of 4 is not a requirement either. You have to remember when you think about your students and your student populations, one, I have no clue, and sometimes you have no clue of how many students are in a building, or how many students have been identified, and what's happening in those grade levels. You know, there are going to be those quirk years where you actually do not identify any student for a grade level, or just the way the world flows and changes, they either all transfer or they move around, especially if you're a smaller district or a smaller campus, you know, things happen. So it's just really when you're looking to make sure that your students are being served and that they are having the best that they can have in the classroom, just thinking what works best. And then knowing the people you're working with. You know your administrators, you know the ones that you got to fight and tooth and nail just to say that you have someone doing inclusion on the campus. Then you have, you know, so really, it's really making sure that our students are being served, working with our counselors to make sure that they are placing them as to the best of their ability to allow them to work together. And then also thinking, how are we really ensuring that services are happening? And so really thinking about, principals are fighting it this year. They're thinking, I got all these teachers out, I got all these things going on. And, you know, I'm actually gotten a letter from a person from a district who says basically their principal has told them GT is closed for the rest of the school year. And I asked, have they talked to their, you know, GT coordinator about that? And they said they have at their district level. And so really thinking, how do we make sure, and having those conversations and finding those people that we can have the buy-in to continue to support our programs. And I think that's where we gotta really, you know, working with our counseling services to have those conversations. One, to really make sure they understand how, you know, what we're asking for. We're just asking, you know, it might seem like a hard thing to, you know, master scheduling is not an easy thing. I'm just going to put it that way. But we're also thinking, what is best for these students? What is best for them at this time? And really looking at how can we help that to happen? And really, you know, are they truly, you know, have they been trained, or are they just a master scheduling that just like, this is another piece of work on my plate? So really, have we talked to them and really said, why is this important that this is happening in our scheduling and our services? And then are we really defining and putting out there what are we expecting? I get questions on what is our time requirements. That's a local district decision. And I will say, if you have not yet, get it in your board policy on how much time do you want to have program services. If it's an hour, 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week, get it into some policy so that, or some place it's written so people will know this is the expectation, that we have this many hours is board policy, is board should be board enforced as we go into that. And as we look at those processes and going forth into that. So I think that may help with some. I know there are very few districts that do have it in board policy. I found it in a few, but not in a lot. So really thinking, what does that define? And who knows what that means? So, and what is the expectation? Any other thoughts, wonderings? Yes, getting on their agenda. I mean, and sorry, slid the wrong way. Kristen, is that your counseling department or your scheduling? Or I'm just looking at your comment. Most powerful thing was getting access to their monthly meetings. Who's
Well,
monthly
that's
meeting?
talking specifically about looking specifically at our principals. They meet monthly, and we have a spot on their agenda for a half an hour every 2 months. So we're actually in front of our secondary principals, and every other month we're in front of our elementary principals. So we're able to really answer their questions and kind of hold their hands through ensuring that the services that our board is asking for are actually happening on the campus.
Very good, very good. Great info. Great info. All right. Any other, I wasn't checking the chat as it was flowing through other than that. Any other questions, wonderings on all right. All right, any questions out there? I know there's a lot going on and there might be some follow-up questions if you heard the conversation from last week on finance or anything else from the Gifted Leadership meeting. Or there might be some other things out there that you're wondering about. We got a few minutes. Throw them at me. While you're thinking, I just want to announce that it should be live later today. The Q&A from last month, the April 5th quick Q&A, the PowerPoint and the video should be up. The video is definitely on the YouTube playlist, so you can catch that there. And I want to say thank you to all of you who either sent in a comment or put into process any comments to the state board on public comment for Chapter 89 that closed on Friday at 5. So at this point in time, public comment is finished. It will be going before the board this week. They do meet this week. And so hopefully pretty much we are very clean. It was very supportive. There were a couple of things that people put in it that we actually need to research and do a little bit further study before we actually change that into law. Okay. So on the question, were we able to find out whether GT specialists are required to attend the Reading Academy training? So if you provide instruction, and this is what it was explained to me, if you are providing instruction, yes, you are required to attend. If you are not required, if you are a support, instructional specialist, that kind of support, then no, you are not required to attend the Reading Academy training. With this document, so TA guidance, would this document have the rule on adjusting instruction to meet the needs of EL learners, 2E learners, and gifted learners? Which document, Jennifer? Putting it in the chat. Let me scroll. So Blake, that's a question for you. Where are you, Blake? If you
I'm not sure I got the question.
All right.
What's the question?
Okay, so Blake, I think you mentioned that TEA guidance. Somewhere, is there a rule that says that classroom teachers need to adjust the curriculum for their twice exceptional learners, EL learners, and gifted learners? And it's not a suggestion. It's a rule. Where is that? Because I like to use those kind of things in quizzes when we start the GTFA.
I don't know if it's phrased that way in the state plan. I'll have to go look.
There is something in the state plan about being able to schedule and modify what you're doing to meet the needs of kids. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Michelle put it in 4.9.
I'll see if I can find specific.
Yeah. Could we do say they need to adapt and modify the curriculum to meet the needs of for exceptionalities, and then actually it includes highly gifted. So it's in the state plan. You will find, I want to say, at least one in student assessment, one in service design, and possibly one also in curriculum and instruction. We actually do have 2E as a part of that. Yeah. Someone just dropped it in the chat. Yeah, 4.9. Thank you. I think that's Kelsey. Yes, Kelsey. Thank you very much for dropping that. So try to put it in a little bit broader and being very specific as we get into that. So Christy, let me check on that one on pull-out teachers, because they're providing instruction to those K-5 students, and that Reading Academy is a crazy mishmash of information and guidance that is per state law and not necessarily, certain things. And before I get someone in trouble for not meeting the law, let me clarify. So, because they do provide instruction, and so I will make sure I will get those questions asked. And actually, I might invite somebody from Reading Academies to one of our meetings to help pull that out. So yeah. So most times, yes, I would say that, but yes. Right. If there are any more questions, drop them in the chat. Or if anyone wants to share out something that's going on in their district, their ESC that is new and exciting, let us know. Or it could be old and exciting. I see that question, Emily. We'll find out. Okay. And then we made it optional. Yeah, Reading Academy is going to be the vein, but we'll work it out. We'll work it out. Just wanted to remind you, we have our Equity and Gifted Ed website up and available for your use. Did highlight and let you know that public comment period has ended. It ended Friday afternoon at 5. And so, but we got a lot of comments, about over 50. So thank you for that. And we are ready. We'll see. I think it'll just continually to move forward. Some of the things that did come out, we will look at as we review the state plan, and then prepare for our next rule review, which happens every 4 years. So if you are not getting, it's about time to start looking at announcements again. So if you have anything you want to share that will go out in our next newsletter, I will be putting that together very soon. And so feel free. And then this is where you can also sign up for newsletters as we go into it. So really take that opportunity to open the door to find some more info. And then I always recommend signing up for the To the Administrator address. That will give you what all administrators at all levels get coming from the agency. So it might be a little bit more than you want, but you'll get those high level communications that are coming out. Here's my contact information. Always feel free to call me, reach out, email. I try to answer in a timely manner. If I miss it, because I do sometimes flag one and get caught up in something else, please reach back out. I have no problem with you. Like, you forgot to answer. I'm good about that. So I want to say thank you. If there are any other questions, wonderings, anybody want to share, just let me know. If not, I'm gonna give you some time back to, yes, always the time for, and this is my goal with this, is really, this is our opportunity. We don't actually have sometimes to chit chat and ask questions of each other and just kind of think, and this is it. So thank you, everyone. I'll give you some time back. You can get some other things done in this 15 minutes. You can find today's presentation. It will be up probably before the week is out, hopefully, but by the end of the week, you will find this on our GT Educational Resources page that is linked off of the GT page on our TA page. And so we'll drop the chat link in the chat. Give me 1 minute to get there. And I will drop it out. So Liliana, I'm not sure if Paulina's still here, but Christina might be, or someone who's been a part of the GT boot camp. Has anyone attended already? Anyone attended the boot camp? I'm going to take that as a no, or no one speaking. All right, we got one. Blake.
I can speak for it. So they plan months in advance to answer all of your new coordinator questions. They go in depth with multiple things like how to start a program, different service models, identification and assessment, really everything you need to get going off the ground. So I think it's highly beneficial. Also a great networking opportunity to get with other new leaders who work with districts that are around the same size as yours. Because a lot of times, you might look for support, but it's someone in a giant district, and you're just kind of a middling district, or you only have like 7 GT kids in your district. So great way to find friends.
Thank you. Thanks, Blake. Thanks for the sharing.
What questions
today
did you
of
have?
Information, Blake. Appreciate it. Oh, Lydia,
My pleasure.
go ahead. If there's nothing else, the GT
I
boot
don't know
camp.
that one. Maybe on the Target website.
Target website, yes. Or if you go back in the chat, if you were here, and I will scroll up to it and I will drop you Paulina's info. And yes. reach out to Paulina. She can definitely get you some more info. All right, everyone, have a happy week. See you again on the 19th. So have a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.